Well, hello everybody, welcome to another review as read. Today we'll be talking about Fulgrim, Visions of Treachery by Graham Mcneill. This is from the Horus Heresy series, which basically comes from the Black Library. Black Library being the Games Workshop arm of novel writing and all. And of course this takes place during the Horus Heresy, which is basically Warhammer 30,000. But it's basically the main event that leads towards the whole series of games of 40k and so on and so forth. Now, Fulgrim is the story, of course, of the Primarch of the Emperor's Children, the Third Legion, and how he, from a son of the Emperor, a loyal, stalwart believer in the Great Crusade of the Emperor, turns against him to join Horus in the Horus Heresy. And this will be a no-spoiler review, so the events that take place basically takes place near the end of the Great Crusade, all the way to Esteban 5. Now, this is my fourth most favorite book of all time. Alright, so I have a lot to say about it, so let's get to it. So let's get to the cons of the book, which there are many. And the biggest con of this book is, again, no spoilers, but the book definitely completes itself. But if you know the history of the Horus Heresy and everything, the true ending, you could say like an extended version, is basically in another novel, which that is a compilation of short stories, and it's called The Primarchs. It's from the same series. That short story in that book is called Reflections Crack in that book, which I'm reading now and I'll review in times to come. Now, don't let that put you off though, because truthfully, to be absolutely honest and upfront, this book, if you don't read Reflections Crack, it's okay, but then again, if you're really into the series and everything, Reflection Crack kind of leads to that important situation that leads towards the end of the Horus Heresy. So again, it's how much you're into the lore after you read the book and all. But again, like I like to reiterate, the story itself does feel very complete after you read Fulgrim. But if there is a flaw in the book, I would say this is the one. The first pro of the book is how great the book reads. Now, this is probably the thickest Horus Heresy novella that I have read. I read about 20 of the books and all. It has 510 pages, but it doesn't read or feel like it at all. It reads really fast because it's so well written. And the best part is, if you're just interested in sci-fi in general, this literally can read perfectly if you know nothing about 40k, nothing about the Horus Heresy. You know, it's a great sci-fi novel in itself, and it's written by Graham Mcneill, which has famous for so many other series than the Games Workshop franchises. And because it's such a thick novel, alright, it allows the entire space opera situation to come in a myriad of ways. For example, there is, of course, war, and the war includes strategies or space battles or land battles and so on. There's also things about character development, a lot of character development, because basically the book is character development of an entire legion. And then the sex, because naturally the sex is nothing like explicit way, but it and alluded to, but definitely it adds to the flavor, because as anyone who knows the lore, Fulgrim turns towards Slanesh, which basically he/she is the god of carnal pleasure. So if this book doesn't have something that you feel the space opera would need, you can be assured that more than likely it's going to be in this novel. So the main focus of the book is, of course, on the character development of Fulgrim and his entire Third Legion, the Emperor's Children, into the Chaos faction, the Emperor's Children. The writing, this is quite amazing in that this change from a good legion to a bad legion is extremely seamless and woven to all aspects of their entire legion's lives, be it the people, the menials living inside the spaceships, the warriors who fight on the planet, even their daily habits. And the best way to talk about how great the writing is from this change is, take it like example, if you've been away for 10 years, right? If let's say they're a friend, if you saw him 10 years ago and you come back and you see him 10 years later, most of the time you will say like, wow, you changed this much or that much. Whereas the person who sees the person every day doesn't notice the change until it's literally they show a picture of 10 years one to the person now. And this is how this book feels, because if you actually read through the whole book, how the Legion changes is very seamless. I mean, it's at some point, literally at the end of the book, no spoilers, the novel will point something out, and then you go like, oh yeah, the person changed into this, but because it was such a seamless, slow transition, sometimes you don't even notice the person really changed till the book points it out to you sometimes, which shows just that how much this book absorbs into you, like you're there every day with the Legion. To give you an example, you had the first captain Julius and the other captain Marius, Marius becomes a sycophant basically, but it comes through this utter loyalty to Fulgrim the Primarch, and on top of that, because he felt like he failed his Primarch in the attack against one of these alien races. And one of the ones that for me as a personal story whereby I felt that I didn't even notice how much the psychology played into the story and how this seamless transition is. At one point, there's another Primarch called Horus Heresy of the Iron Hand, Fulgrim's perspective, and he's being manipulated by some forces, and how he takes all the advice and everything from Horus Heresy as maliceful and all that. And the way it's written, you actually think that maybe Fulgrim's right. But here's the thing, at the end of the book, then they also point out that it could be the opposite. Again, not to spoil anything, that's why I'm just going to give it in very vague terms, but it could be opposite. And when you think about it, after that, you go like, maybe, then it puts into somewhat of a perspective, and you feel like you've been manipulated by the demon that is trying to turn Fulgrim. This book has something which I like in all my favorite novels, which is there's a moral fact to it. The fact that even Fulgrim, the most perfect, or so to speak, of Primarchs among the Emperor's children, gene seed, he is brought down by nothing more than his need, or that of his greatest strength, which is the need to become perfect. Basically, at many points, he can change. He's trying to fight the evil that's trying to take him over. And another thing about the book has a focus on, in terms of a deeper meaning, is because the whole Legion turns towards Slanesh, the god of debauchery and everything. It kind of takes to the point of how far is too far. Example, in the book, there's one of the characters that really, to bring forth the idea, is a person called Ostian, who's an artist, a great sculptor, and he says that when you become too perfect, in a way, but in terms of trying to do it by technique, it can never become a perfect piece of art anymore, because there's no more the passion, in a way. The Legion, whose whole idea is Fulgrim's idea of perfection, does it take it too far, and is that what led it to its own downfall, basically? And it's all up to you to decide when you read through this book. So, and there's so many things that are happening, you know what I mean? But yet everything ties together. Like, if you see a lot of the book reviews I do, there's always, I hate thing is when there's Deus Ex Machina, which is basically those miracle moments. In this book, I got to say everything fits, alright? And it flows seamlessly for me. And this one's for people who know the Horus Heresy and read more books of the Horus Heresy. The thing is that this book talks about the Istvan V battle from the viewpoint of the Emperor's children of Fulgrim and Horus Heresy and the Iron Hands. You know, it's really cool because you read several of the books, you know the perspective from, like, example, the Sons of Horus and everything like that in different parts of the battlefield, like Angron, and from the World Eaters and so on. In conclusion, this is an absolutely wonderful book. It's my fourth favorite book of all time. Alright, and this is the second time I read through the whole thing, and it's absolute pleasure. It has everything you want, and I got to say, overall, the Horus Heresy has a great series. The quality control is amazing compared to all the games that Games Workshop is allowing to be made under its IP now. The only book in the Horus Heresy which I say is better than Fulgrim is The Betrayer, and for that review I'll put a link below. So thank you very much. Till next word.